All-star knuckler on the hill. Will R.A. Dickey be enough to stop the red-hot Braves? Let's head out to Atlanta for this NL East showdown.
Led by all-star third baseman David Wright, the Mets have been surprise contenders. Today, another all-star, knuckleballer R.A. Dickey takes the mound against the only team to beat him this season, the Braves. Winners of 5 straight, Atlanta is one of the National League's most balanced teams and looking to keep it rolling in this divisional matchup. A sunny, warm day here in the Deep South, where these two teams will count on their headline third baseman in a pivotal series. It's the Mets and Braves, both chasing Washington for the National League East lead and in the thick of the wild card race. Hi, and welcome to Atlanta and to the second half of Major League Baseball on Fox. I'm Chris Myers, and a real treat today. One of the more fascinating stories in all of sports, 37-year-old pitcher R.A. Dickey. He has been spectacular, the talk of baseball and beyond. And as we welcome in Eric Karros, nobody has won more games through the first half of the season. He's going for his 13th win today.
Well, he's been as dominant as any Major League pitcher, and he does it with a knuckleball. But it's not the old knuckleball that just kind of flutters up there. He can get this thing going at about 83, 84 miles an hour, which makes it very difficult to hit. So difficult, like you said, he has dominated the first half. You look at wins. There isn't a major leaguer with more wins. The complete games first. And you look at the opponent's batting average, 200. That's what's allowed him to be so dominant and allowed the Mets to be right in the wild card hunt. Now, he's going to be opposed by Tommy Hanson of the Braves. 18 starts, the most on this Braves ball club, 9 quality starts. He's gone 5-1 since June, and he is their horse. For both of these teams to be competitive and to go to the postseason, both of these pitchers, R.A. Dickey and Tommy Hanson, are going to have to continue their dominance.
The Mets have been the best scoring team on the road, so they'll test Hanson right away. We'll have the starting lineups, and there are some adjustments for both of these teams. It's a scramble for the National League East. It's the Mets and the Braves live from Atlanta, straight ahead on Fox. Mostly sunny, chance of a thunder shower later in the day. That's usually the case this time of year in Atlanta. And the opening pitch brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Today's starting lineup for the Mets brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you got to live Moss. Ruben Tejada, who's hit very well since coming off that injury in the leadoff spot. David Wright having an MVP-like year. Ike Davis in the cleanup spot. Neuenhuis is in right field. Andres Torres, the back, feeling a little bit better in center field. R.A. Dickey, the opposing pitcher, facing Tommy Hanson.
Well, Tommy Hanson, the big right-hander, gets the start today. You see those starts, 18 starts. 9 of those have been quality starts. Now, the one thing about him, 10-5. His career high in wins is 11. He's going to have to get a lot more than 1 this second half for the Braves to be in it.
Checking the defense for the Braves, Michael Bourne, all-star in the outfield. And at shortstop, Martin Prado moves in only his second major league game, starting at shortstop among 522 career starts, and he's there because of the injury to Jack Wilson. Andrelton Simmons, who was playing so well, the rookie of the month in June, on the injured list as Tejada steps in against Hanson. Hanson's first pitch. In there. The 0-1 pitch from Hanson. Toward right. And under it for the out is Hayward, 1 away. Let's check on our forward keys to the game.
Very simply, for R.A. Dickey, he needs to go dancing today. And the reason I say that darn knuckleball needs to be moving all over the place. They need a good outing from their starter today. The Mets do. Obviously, Mr. Hanson, go after them. The Mets take a lot of pitches, and they will take bases on balls. Hanson cannot give them any free passes.
2 starts against the Mets this year for Hanson, 0-4 since the start of 2011 against New York, as Jordany Valdespin steps in batting in the second spot. He's been up and down 4 different times with the Mets in their AAA team, trying to lock in a regular spot. And a very versatile player.
He is a versatile guy. He got a lot of swagger to him, and I'm not going to say a hot dog, but he's got an attitude about him. And it's good when he's on your team. When you're playing against him, you're not always so thrilled about it.
Actually got a start in center field prior to the All-Star break. Strike there. David Wright is on deck. Coming off his 6th All-Star appearance. The 2-1. Now it's 2-2.
And you watch this breaking ball just disappear. Valdespin thinks he's right on it. And look where it ends up. It ends up out of the zone. Not even a strike. And that's what you want. You want hitters to chase pitches that aren't strikes.
That's low, so we'll go full with the second batter of the game.
Well, we got a 3-ball count in last night's ball game. 33 ball counts. Made for a lot of pitches.
Mets pitching 11 walks in that game. Bounce towards second. So Uggla routine for out number 2. 2 up and 2 down as David Wright comes to the plate. 7-game hitting streak. Pre-All-Star break.
Well, we talked about R.A. Dickey having a great first half. This man right here, David Wright, offensively for the Mets, has been dominant as well. They didn't expect this. They had hoped for this, but they did not expect this. Now, does he have to continue this the whole second half? He does, because there's not a lot of thump in this lineup outside of David Wright.
Says he's better with pitch selection at what he's actually swinging at this year. Takes a strike. Is striking out less than he has in any other season in his career. Had a couple of hits in last night's Atlanta win over the Mets in the opener of this 3-game series.
Well, I think another thing that's led to his success is the outfield walls at Citi Field have been brought in. And mentally, that is a
breath of fresh air for you as a hitter because you don't have to feel like you got to crush every ball to get a hit. Therefore, you're not swinging as hard. You're up there just trying to hit line drives. And you watch this pitch, another breaking ball. We saw one to Valdespin earlier. Again, look where it ends up, out of the zone.
The 1-2 to David Wright. Bounced one up there. Hansen, since the start of June, a 5-1 record, has wins over Washington and the Yankees. So had a pretty good month of June, and hoping, as you said in the open, Eric, to carry the Braves here through July. So second batter he goes full on. 3-2 pitch now for Wright. Called strike 3. Took a little work, but Hansen 3 up and 3 down to get things started against the NL East rival Mets. Braves are coming to bat here in Atlanta. Dickey facing the Atlanta lineup, and the starting lineup for the Braves brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Those top 2 hitters are the best table setters in the National League. Chipper Jones did not take batting practice, but in the cleanup spot, he had a homer again against the Mets last night. And the big story we mentioned at the shortstop with Prado playing at that spot and facing R.A. Dickey. So his one loss, as you mentioned, it was the Braves. He also beat Atlanta much earlier in the season.
Well, you look at where he's at right now, 12-1. Now, 12-1 the second half, I don't know, but they'd like to see a couple wins out of him.
One of the true characters in the game, and is on a mission to legitimize the knuckleball if he can. And so far he has done that. As you said, he throws it harder, gets more velocity than any knuckleballer we've seen.
Well, and that's the thing. It's the, I want to say, the unconventional or the conventional unconventional or the blah blah blah. It doesn't just flutter up there.
Unorthodox, maybe, is the word you were looking for.
Well,
unusual.
what I'm saying, it's okay. First of all, the pitch is a non-conventional pitch, and then it's non-conventional in the way that he throws a non-conventional pitch because he's got velocity on the pitch.
Gets it up to 82.
82, 83.
Now, the one thing has been his control. He only has one wild pitch, which is amazing for a knuckleball pitcher, but now he goes 3-2 on the speedy Michael Bourne. And he gets the called strike 3.
Well, that's not a knuckleball. That's a fastball right there, and that looks a little low to me. Now, R.A. Dickey this year in the first inning has only given up one walk. He should have doubled his total right there, and I guarantee you Michael Bourne feels the same way.
And he says his fastball only goes about 85, a little bit harder, a little more velocity of the knuckleball. So here's Martin Prado. We mentioned he's playing the shortstop position. Doesn't matter where he plays, he can hit in his head. Quite a year, improving his numbers, hitting at least 60 points higher than where he hit last year. That's in there for a strike.
Well, we've seen 3 fastballs in a row now. One to strike out Bourne, and then the first 2 to Prado. Getting it up there at 84, 85.
Hayward would be next, regardless of what Prado does. And that's what Dickey says. I got to get him to think about the fastball.
Well, and you see that only 1 walk in the first inning. And you mentioned earlier 1 wild pitch all year long. So the control has been there.
He's got Prado in the hole. Going to be a tough play because he moves well, but threw him out for out number 2. And let's check the Met defense. Ranked near the lower portion of the National League in fielding. I mentioned Torres is back in center. Tejada has played very well defensively at short, and David Wright might be having his best year defensively with Josh Tully behind the plate.
Okay, and you look at this play by R.A. Dickey, showing a little athleticism, throws off balance, makes a perfect chest-high throw to Davis at first base. Cat-like jumps off the mound and makes the play.
Fresh off the All-Star game, an appearance on David Letterman, and now working against the Braves with 2 out here in the first, and Jason Hayward up there. And gets the strike. That's high. Dickey said the heat and humidity don't affect his knuckleball at all. What concerns him is if it gets damp, the grip on the baseball.
Well, and that's if he's sweating and he can't get the good grip. He can't dig his fingers into the ball. You see Chipper Jones right there. Home run last night.
His only loss, Dickey, April 18th, gave up 8 earned runs. Didn't make it out of the 5th inning, but that was a Hayward swings and misses. A game that it was rainy and damp conditions.
And you watch this, not a lot of rotation, and then just drop up.
The 2-2 fouled off. Dickey wants a quarter of the turn of the baseball, he said, when he's throwing that knuckler. If it turns too much spin, then guys, he said, can hit it out of the park.
Well, and I can tell you as a hitter, what you don't want is movement, because a lot of times, I shouldn't say a lot of times, but once in a while the thing will just float up there. You can hit it a mile.
Swung out and missed, and he gets Hayward swinging for strike 3. 3 up, 3 down. Scoreless after 1 inning here in Atlanta. Budweiser and sponsored by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. And by Michelin, a better way forward. Along with Eric Karros, Chris Myers here at Turner Field in Atlanta. Pitching dominating the opening inning. As Hansen gets ready to face the cleanup hitter for the Mets, Ike Davis. And it's a big deal that batting average is over 200.
Well, it is just from a mental standpoint. Walking up to the plate as a hitter, last thing you want to see is something by your name that says 190 something. Then you're running up to the box, get that bat, get that average off. But he's been hitting for power, a lot of power lately.
It's in there for a strike. Coming up, we'll check on the Yankees and Angels. New York rallying to win game 1 of that series out in Anaheim. Correction on that. They're playing in New York as this ball is up against the wall, and Davis will trot into second for a double. The Yankees 5-3 winners today. We'll have the highlights here in a moment.
Well, this pitch out over the zone, Davis does a nice job of going with it, driving it into the alley. And this is what I'm talking about as far as power is concerned. It doesn't necessarily need to be home runs. It needs to be extra bases. And really, it was non-existent for Ike Davis up until about the first week of June.
As Daniel Murphy steps to the plate to face Hansen. It was Terry Collins who said in the second half they need Davis to produce some of those numbers you're talking about, along with the pitching of Dickey, to stay in contention.
Well, this is another guy that's been hot as of late. And if you look, Daniel Murphy, 5 for 11 against Tommy Hansen. And in this at-bat, what he needs to do is make sure at least he gets Davis to third.
And he does just that. Ugla gets out number 1, but over to third is Davis. For a DirecTV game break, let's check in with Greg Hampsey.
Chris, thank you very much. Rafael Soriano on the hill. Albert Pujols goes 0 for 4. That's a strikeout. Soriano's 22nd save of the year. Cano and Granderson homer in this one. Final score 5-3. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Chris, Eric, back to you in Atlanta.
Thanks, Greg. So that's now a 17-game hitting streak for Robinson Cano. As Kirk Neuenhuis, the rookie, bats with a runner at third and 1 out. And gets the strike as the infield is in for the Braves.
Well, you take a look, and this tells you right now how much respect that the Braves manager has for R.A. Dickey and what he can do. They're playing one-run ball game right now, and we're only in the second.
That's low. They check. So it's a 1-1 count. Neuenhuis comes in hitting .268. Started out when he was forced to play early in the year, but tailed off.
See Neuenhuis checking his swing, and this is where, as a hitter, you've really got to be patient. You can get excited. You got a runner on third, infield's in. You're thinking, all right, yeah, I got an RBI here. Be patient, let the ball travel on you, and drive it.
And the strike delivered by Hansen. Neuenhuis drove in a couple of runs last night with a fourth-inning single off Tim Hudson in that Atlanta win over the Mets.
And the one thing, though, Neuenhuis has been susceptible to the strikeout. 87 of them already this year.
The 1-2. And it looks like it hit him, but he's going to go to first base. Inside pitch from Hansen, so runners on the corners now for Josh Thole.
Here he's just trying to throw that cutter down on the back foot, but not literally on the back foot. Try and throw that to a left-handed hitter as a right-handed pitcher, hoping that he would swing over it. Just continues to travel in and hits Neuenhuis on the left foot.
The numbers this season for Josh Thole, but he has hit Tommy Hansen very well. His home run off Hansen. Let's take another look at where that ball hit Neuenhuis.
Yeah, it continues to travel in and got him right on the left foot. You got 2 strikes on you, though. You'd be more than happy to take that.
Hansen trying to keep Neuenhuis close at first and hoping for a double play ball to get out of this.
Yeah, I can't believe that anything is going on over at first base. You want to leave that hole open for Tolle at the plate. You don't want to bring Freeman off the bag.
That's outside. Second inning trouble spot for Hansen. Andres Torres on deck, and then R.A. Dickey scheduled to bat.
See, and again, as well as Tolle has hit Hansen, I'm not doing anything out there on the bases. I'm going to let him swing.
And he does.
Here he takes a little bit off. Tolle out in front a little bit, pulling his head. Again, if you're the hitter, you're looking for something up in the zone. Keep it in the air. Don't want to hit into a double play.
Back to check on Neuenhuis. A double by Davis, moved over to third. Neuenhuis hit by the pitch. 1 out and runners on the corners. And a 2-1 pitch to Josh Tolle. Scoreless here in the second. Hansen really seems bothered by Neuenhuis.
Yeah, Neuenhuis only has 4 stolen bases. He's been caught 3 times. I can see if they're thinking maybe some sort of hit and run here. But I can't believe it would be just a straight steal. As I said, I'd leave him at first, leave that hole open.
Runner going. Neuenhuis is thrown out at second.
See, and that's what he did right there. Terry Collins put on a hit and run. And that's why I would not have done a hit and run with this guy up at the plate.
You made that clear, and McCann up firing.
Yeah, McCann comes up, throws him out. And again, the reason why Tolle hits this guy hard, you've got that side of the infield open. You know, it'd be one thing if Tolle was having all kinds of struggles against him, but not sure that was the right call.
Now you got Torres, who you can be careful with the pitcher, due up next, although Dickey a contact hitting pitcher. And it's a 3-2 count.
Yeah, and right now it should be bases loaded because that last one, a hit and run, forces Tolle to go after the pitch. Makes it a 2-2 count. Now, you know.
Aggressive base running is what the Mets have been all about so far this year. This time it backfires. We have time called.
Well, there's one thing about being aggressive. There's another thing about being smart, playing the odds. And again, like I said, I just Tolle's success against Hansen, 9 for 21.
No, 3-2. Fouled off, out of play. Tommy Hansen had a relatively easy first inning, although he went to 2 3-2 counts. This is his 19th start of the season, trying to equal his career high of 11 wins, coming in with a 10-5 record. This will be his 29th pitch. Driven, and that's going to be a 2-bagger off the wall, so a run scores easily, and sliding into second is Josh Tolle, and the Mets have a 1-0 lead. You're shaking your head. You think it should be 2-0.
Look, you just watch. I mean, Tolle is again ahead of the count. He's 2-0 against a guy that he has good at bats against. Okay, that right there forces him to go to 2-2, then 3-2. Fouls off a pitch, and then boom, gets a hold of it. And right now he bails out the Mets with that big hit right there, but they should be up 2-0 with R.A. Dickey on the hill.
Already 0-1 here to Torres, who's back in the lineup. Had some back problems prior to the All-Star break. Feeling better there. Mets' leading base stealer, as he takes another strike. Hansen now with a runner at second, 2 down. And the 0-2. It's outside.
Roger McDowell, the former Met, now the pitching coach of the Atlanta Braves. Former teammate of mine as well in Los Angeles.
Swung on and missed the strikeout for Hansen, but Josh Thole doubles in a run. R.A. Dickey will take the mound here in Atlanta with a 1-0 lead, and Chipper Jones is due up. Here in Atlanta, today's game presented by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds. Mets with a 1-0 lead as Chipper Jones, who had a home run last night and has done well against R.A. Dickey. 4 for 8 in his career with 6 runs batted in, including a home run coming off another All-Star game, his 8th. And what a diving grab by Tejada.
Well, true to his form, Chipper hits a rope off R.A. Dickey. Tejada perfectly positioned. Watch him. Stretches. I mean, I'll tell you what, he has really, really played well this year when healthy. And everybody thought that with the departure of Jose Reyes there'd be a void there, but he's filled in great.
Freddie Freeman steps in, so Dickey disposes of Chipper, hit him well. Freeman hitting .400 against R.A. Dickey. And rolls that one towards second. Murphy throws it away. Murphy, who had worked so well at improving his defense, and a little sloppy on this one.
Well, I think he thought coming in he was going to have to barehand the ball. And then he realized Freeman wasn't getting down the line all that quickly. So then he goes to grab it with the glove. He's not on balance to make the little flip. You know, it all started, he was playing extremely deep, which you have to do. But I think he was indecisive coming in whether to barehand or glove it.
Scored a hit. So a runner on here with 1 out. And Brian McCann back in the lineup Congratulations all around. Colt Michael, first son born to wife Ashley yesterday afternoon as he was out on paternity leave. Fouled out of play. He had a little more time.
You watch where he is playing right now. You see him, he's out there in the outfield grass. And then he'll come in. And I think the way he was rounding it, he was going to barehand it and try and flip it over to Davis. Doesn't do it. Tries to glove it. Doesn't get a good throw.
So now McCann with Ugla on deck. 0-2 here. 4 straight homers. That's high. Before having the night off on Friday. And Ross, his backup catcher, homered to help lead Atlanta. Toward right, coming in, and it drops for a base hit. And everybody's safe. Freeman had to hold up because it looked like there was a chance in right field. But Neuenhuis would have been able to come up with that.
Well, Freeman does the right thing. He's halfway. Then he just hustles in there. Second base umpire Bill Miller says he beats the throw.
Dan Ugla steps to the plate with 2 on and 1 out. You got McCann at first. Freeman's at second.
Neuenhuis having trouble with the sun out there. Had to play it safe.
Outside a ball.
Well, ironic. Chipper Jones hits a rocket, doesn't get anything to show for it. Then 2 balls that aren't hit all that hard. Braves are the beneficiaries of runners on first and second.
And Ugla, like the All-Star game, having a base hit. Chipper Jones having that infield hit. The All-Star game Tuesday night in KC, where R.A. Dickey got into pitch later in the National League victory. So now a 2-0 count. Fouled past third.
Well, Ugla has really struggled against Dickey. Look at that. 1 for 25. 5 strikeouts. And you just figure if you're Freddie Gonzalez, you keep running him out there because he's just due. At some point, he's going to run into something.
Now it's a 3-1 count. A walk would load him up. Eric Hinsky in left field because Prado moved to short with the injuries the Braves have at that position.
And if I'm Ugla right now, I'm sitting on a fastball. I'm sitting on it.
Swung on and missed.
He got the fastball. It was just in a good location. Bit of a sinker action on it.
2 on for Ugla. The 3-2 pitch from Dickey. And he walked him. The bases are loaded. Let's get a DirecTV game break and check it again with Greg Amsinger.
Chris, thank you. After Prince Fielder gave the Tigers the lead in the first, Jim Thome, who's hitting third in the lineup for the Orioles, brings them back up against the wall. We are tied at 1 in the bottom of the second. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Chris, Eric, back to you in Atlanta.
Thanks, Greg. As Hinsky is up there with a bases loaded in a 1-0 game and 1 out. Swung on foul. Atlanta comes in 4 back of the Nationals. The Mets 5.5 in the National League East. Washington playing under the lights. An important series for both of these teams to stay in the race in the East as well as the National League wild card. Both spots there. A 1-1 count. Tommy Hanson, the pitcher, is on deck. Swung Swung on toward left field. That's going to be off the wall. One run is in. Here comes another. They're going to hold him up at third. It's a 2-run double for Eric Hinske, and the Braves have the lead.
This ball up out over the plate. Hinske drives the ball. Valdespin plays it off the wall, gets it in, keeps runners at second and third. You watch him, they're not sure. You know, the way Valdespin went after it, though, you knew he wasn't going to catch it.
But now Tommy Hanson batting, and it began with Freeman. And then McCann, the walk to Ugla. So Freeman and McCann are in with Ugla waiting at third. There's a strike. No sign of a bunt from Hanson.
No, but the infield right now is halfway. The corners are in on the grass. And I'm a little surprised by that with runners on second and third because the ball gets through. That's 2 runs.
Right back at Dickey, who looks the runner back and gets out number 2.
You figure right there you're going for the strikeout or something like that back to the pitcher, but if you've got the infield in and he just nubs something and gets through, that's 2 runs. Again, I give up the 1, but not necessarily 2. Not this early in the game.
Michael Bourne struck out against Dickey the first time around, coming off his second All-Star game. The only Brave to play in every game, starting all but 1. A base hit here would open things up for Atlanta. His 7 home runs already a career high. And watches the strike drop in there from Dickey.
Tell you, Bourne's had 2 tough calls on right there. That looked low. Remember his previous at bat, he was called out on a low fastball.
He wants time. This will be the 38th pitch coming up for R.A. Dickey. And there's a base hit. Here comes Ugla. And Hinske is coming home. The throw. Tolley puts the tag. He's out. Torres in center field delivers it on time, and the tag. But the Braves get 3 and lead R.A. Dickey and the Mets after 2. trying to score.
You watch the first of the play by Tejada earlier off Chipper Jones to lead the inning off. If he doesn't make that play, it's a heck of an inning. Here, Andres Torres makes a great throw. Dan Uggla in the picture telling Hinske to get down, get down. Eric Hinske gets down, but unable to get by the tag of Josh Tolley. Two great defensive plays by the Mets.
And a shaky one by Murphy that was ruled a hit that could have easily been an error that fueled the inning. R.A. Dickey, who makes pretty good contact for a pitcher up at the plate. Swung on and missed. The 0-2 pitch from Hansen. And he bounces it at third. Chipper throws him out. Dickey's only loss this year, that 12-1 record coming here in Atlanta earlier in the season, and trailing now 3-1 as we go back to the top of the order in Ruben Tejada.
Yeah, he got beat around in his only loss and reeled off 10 straight victories since. Yeah, it was at 8 hits, 8 runs. It was not a good outing.
Tejada, after missing 7 weeks with that quad strain on the disabled list, now he started hitting second. They moved him up to the leadoff spot, but he's the best hitting shortstop in that time, and maybe the greatest compliment you can pay him is that they're not talking about Jose Reyes in New York, as Tejada has also played well defensively. You just showed the robbing of Chipper Jones. And he takes ball 1 from Hansen. "22 years old, no relation to another great shortstop, Miguel Tejada." Swung on, missed. Jordani Valdespin on deck with Lucas Duda, a hamstring, out of the lineup, out of the outfield for the Mets today.
Hansen taking something off of that pitch right there. You see Tejada again way out front. You look at the location. Oh, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. Got to wait for it.
Deceptive Hansen can be.
Well, deceptive, but he took a lot off right there. It was a change up.
The 1-2. And he gets the called strike 3. Dan Asanya, our home plate umpire.
Well, and here's a fastball, 90 miles an hour, great location, but because of the previous pitch, you just throwing him a changeup. You've got Tejada guessing, what's he going to throw? What do I have to protect against? And boom, he freezes you on a fastball away. You know, that's the thing. As a pitcher, you want to get the hitter to start thinking, trying to guess. That's why working ahead of the count, and then you can go with any type of pitch if you've got control of it. And he set up Tejada nicely there.
Valdespin comes to the plate as we check the umpires. Bill Miller at second. C.B. Buckner at first. Dale Scott, who was the home plate umpire last night, moves over to third. Terry Collins having to juggle the lineup and the personnel, getting Valdespin more in the lineup. He's showed some power as of late.
Hey, he's run into a few. There's no question about it. Very athletic. As I said, very sure of himself.
Bouncer that gets through. And Jordani Valdespin is on at first with 2 down. So Hansen's going to have to face David Wright. Already this year, he's become the Mets' career leader. Runs batted in, and walks. 62 hits away from Ed Kranepool, the all-time Met hit list. likely to get that the way he's going this year.
Well, you look at that, the all-time Met ranks. RBI is first. Runs first. You know, and this is a spot right now with David Wright up at the plate. I would run Valdez. I'd get him down to second base. This is a time to run. You know, I didn't like earlier in the game with Tolley up. Ended up getting caught stealing at second base. But this I like. 2 outs. Get him down there to second. Let David Wright try and drive him in.
Wright never thinks of himself as a home run hitter, but
power. But the thing is, though, you get him down to second. Okay, you drive him in. If not, you've got the National League leader in on-base percentage leading off the inning the next inning, or second behind Votto. It's win-win.
One pitch. Mike Davis, who doubled his first time up, would be next with 2 down. Runner not going. Chipper scoops it and throws out right. Hansen gets through the third. So we're going to the bottom of the third in Atlanta. And the Braves lead the Mets 3-1 on Fox. Bobby Cox looking on, and looks like retirement treating him well.
Well, not the pressures, not the rigors. I'm sure still looking for that competitive part that managing offers.
Prado swings at the first pitch, skies it in the air. Tejada calling for it and has it for out number 1. Let's get another game break. Check in with Greg Amsinger in the MLB Network studios.
Chris, thank you. Robert Andino playing second, hitting 9th for the O's, and unloads off Max Scherzer, his 5th of the year, and it makes the score 3-1 Baltimore. O's trying to snap the Tigers' 6-game winning streak. Wei and Chen winless in his last 4. He's also trying to snap that skid. Chris, Eric, back to you in Atlanta.
Thanks, Greg, and a 3-1 score here as Jason Hayward steps in. Strike gets in there. Hayward is a guy that Chipper Jones thinks if he stays healthy The way he moves and swings the bat, he could be a 30-30 guy. Fouled back, 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases.
Well, very athletic, no question. Burst on the scene 2 years ago. I think what impressed most of baseball is his discipline at the plate. High on base percentage. He lost a lot of that last year. And up to this point right now has been a nice rebound season for him.
14 home runs matches his total for all of last year. And in a hole with Dickey, the 1-2 pitch now. From Ridgewood, New Jersey. Swung on and missed.
Well, this is that hard knuckleball, and when it starts high as a hitter, you expect it to drop down, but because of the velocity, it stays on the same plane. And that's what makes it so difficult to hit as a hitter.
So Chipper Jones, who was robbed of a hit by Tejada his first time up when he lined one, looked like it was headed towards center field. Fouled back, he's in the hole 0-2. Last night hit his 49th homer versus the Mets. That's the most of any team that he's homered against. This is skied in foul territory. Wright has it for out number 3. Going to the 4th inning. Braves with a 3-1 lead over the Mets. By Ford, go further, and by the makers of One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of Major League Baseball. Welcome back to Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Budweiser. Tommy Hanson with a 3-1 lead. He's been tagged for 16 home runs. Ike Davis has one of them this season, and Davis already with a double in this game as he steps to the plate here to lead off the 4th inning. Driven towards right, and that is going to be a home run, Ike Davis. '13th home run of the season for the Mets first baseman, and they inch a run closer at 3-2. One I mentioned moments ago was April 16th, after Hansen had intentionally walked David Wright. And Davis hit the tie-breaking 3-run homer in the 6th. The Mets went on to win that one, and then
very similar pitches too. Breaking balls on the outer part of the plate that just kind of hang. Davis goes out and gets them, and drives them to right and right center.
And there's a base hit. Hustling Murphy goes the other way. Daniel Murphy, one of the positive stories. You talk about homegrown Mets in the organization, a good bat, trying to find a place for him to play. Converted outfielder, third base in the minor leagues. Has worked Tim Tuffle, former infielder, third base coach with the Mets, to improve on his defense, although shaky earlier in this game. But his bat always reliable. Struggled a little earlier in the year with power, but has come on since.
Yeah, no, Murphy's done well, and he's overcome a lot with injuries, and he's had some position changes, but seemed to have anchored himself at second base.
Neuenhuis takes ball 1.
Well, in coming into this game, Hansen gives up an average to left-handers at 284. And they see him pretty darn well. And if you look at what's gone on today, Ike Davis, a lefty, 2 hits. Murphy, left-handed, 1 hit. Valdespin, 1 hit, left-handed. Tolle, a double. I mean, the left-handers have worn him out.
The strength of the Mets at the plate. Neuenhuis, and the strike is in there, so it's a 2-1 count. Ike Davis has been the story for the Mets on offense. For Atlanta, getting to R.A. Dickey, a 3-2 lead here in the 4th. Now it's a 3-1 count. Josh Tolle bats next. Murphy at first. And that is ball 4. 2 on for a hitter who gives Hansen nightmares.
Well, he gave him a shot off the top of the wall his last at bat.
After that double, Tolle is now hitting .455 at his career against Hansen. 10 for 22. Decent speed on the base paths for the Mets. Nobody out for Tolle. He takes. A 1-0 pitch. It's 2-0.
This is where you can't get any ideas about moving runners right now. Again, you've got Tolle head of the count, 2-0. Has a lot of confidence against Hansen. Just let him hit.
The strike at now 2-1. Andres Torres is on deck. Josh Tolle towards center field. Bourne is under it. Murphy tags and heads over to third. So he gets a runner in scoring position with only 1 out. That'll give Torres a chance to tie the game with a fly ball.
Well, and also good by getting that runner to third. You got Neuenhuis over at first. That right side of the infield will be open for Torres to shoot something through. Freeman will have to hold the runner on.
Torres at age 34 came over in the trade with the Giants. with Angel Pagan, who's hit well for San Francisco. Torres played good defense for the Mets. Strike is in there. We saw that earlier on the throw to home when Hinske was tagged out by Josh Tolley. Otherwise, the Braves might have more on the board. One and one.
Well, and you see Hansen trying to go away to Torres. Doesn't want him to try to pull the ball and shoot it through that hole. And if you're a hitter, you've got to be aware of that. Look for something outside.
Torres hoping to deliver with Dickey, the pitcher, due up behind him. Mets got a run on the second. Braves answered with 3 in the bottom half. The Davis homer here in the fourth. And Atlanta holding on to the lead. The Mets trying to get some more. Throw over to first. Tommy Hansen's 2-1 pitch to Andres Torres. Swung on, base hit, and we're tied at 3. In to score is Murphy. 6th hit of the game for the Mets.
Well, this is an excellent job at hitting. Torres knows that he's been pitched outside. Okay, they've tried to go away. Why have they tried to go away? Because they don't want him to pull it through the hole. 2-1, he's in a position of strength. He's looking for something out over the plate. He gets that fastball away and shoots it to left field. That's a great job of hitting. It's a great job of being aware how the pitcher is trying to attack you.
Torres batting in the 8 spot and batted leadoff at times during the year for the Mets. So Hansen, the pitch count's getting up there. It's warm out there, not as humid as it has been. But the 3-1 lead has evaporated.
And remember, go back to that at bat by Josh Tolley by getting the fly ball to deep center, able to advance Murphy from second to third.
Talked about the contact hitter that Dickey is, and sets up to bunt, fouls it back. With 1 out, could move the runners over, or at least one of them, for Ruben Tejada.
Well, with the way that the Braves are crashing, especially Freddie Freeman coming in, and this wouldn't be a bad time to pull that bat back and swing.
Dickey is capable. Squares to bunt, and does. And well done by Robert Allen Dickey. Runners move over to second and third. And back to the top of the order as Dickey sets up Ruben Tejada nicely.
Well, Dickey doing it all today. We saw him make a nice defensive play. This bunt right now, he deadens it out onto the grass. McCann has to come out and make the play. There was no play at third base. Pretty darn athletic young man for 37. I call him young, 37. Anything under 44 is young now.
In baseball terms, maybe not so young, but in real life, human being terms. He plans to pitch a while with that knuckleball. So here's Tejada with 2 out. And driven towards center, and right on it is Bourne. Well hit, but nothing to show for it. Hansen gets out of it. But the Mets tie it. Ike Davis with another homer off Tommy Hansen. And we're going to the bottom of the 4th in Atlanta. It's the Mets 3 and the Braves 3. To register for a chance to win a VIP experience for two to a 2012 Major League Baseball World Series game presented by Scott's, the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball. Along with Eric Karros, Chris Myers back in Atlanta, and R.A. Dickey's pitch to Freeman is called a strike.
You see this ball just ties him up. Trying to hold up, it definitely goes around.
The 0-2 pitch bounced through the middle, and Freeman is on, continuing to hit Dickey well. Came in hitting .400 against the knuckleballer. I asked Freeman about the magic of hitting a knuckleballer, and he said there's no secret. My front foot, I plant it, and I hope for the best. That's his formula.
Hope.
That's what you do against the knuckleball.
Hope. It's not a strategy, but sometimes it works. But just as when you're trying to catch it, the same way when you try to hit it, you've got to let it travel. Let it travel. Don't try to go out and get it. Freeman's done a nice job today.
So Brian McCann, who has exhibited power with the birth of their first child last night, got the game off. Missed the All-Star game for the first time for him. There's 6 straight appearances, but 4 consecutive games with a home run before the All-Star break. Fouls that one off. He was struggling in a slump this year, and his brother and dad works as an instructor at a batting cage in Alpharetta near Atlanta here in Georgia. Called him up, said, let's go back to basics. Take a look at things. He pulled out some tape from 2008. And called strike 3. And it had helped McCann, but it didn't help him here. He went back to the basics and said he felt like a dangerous hitter again.
Yeah, this pitch definitely up. And you're not going to get a catcher complain about balls and strikes because you want to stay on that umpire's good side. But you could tell he was not happy at all about that pitch.
So here is Ugla. The wrong kind of matchup for a swinger like him at the plate. Of course, last year when he had a slump, he went on a 33-game hitting streak. He leans on that once in a while. He can separate streaks from offense, from defense. And has great power. Gets away. Freeman will go down to second. Now, that's going to be ruled a pass ball. We mentioned only one wild pitch so far for Dickey this year, and that'll stay that way as the Mets lead the majors in pass balls. Tough one for Josh Thole, who has his work cut out every time he steps behind the plate when Dickey's on the mound. The 2-0 is swung on and missed. The 2-1. Outside. At the All-Star game where R.A. Dickey pitched later in the game, Josh Thole sent some gloves over. So the catchers there had something to work with the knuckleball. The only knuckleballer in the majors right now. And that is lined and caught by Wright. Out number 2.
Nice catch by David Wright. You see him get up. Snares the line drive right there. Good base running as well by Freeman over at second base. Line drive, you freeze, you pick up the ball, and you move.
Hinske up. And they're going to intentionally put him on to get to the pitcher. For David Wright, he may be working on another Gold Glove, the way he's played defense this year. So Henske will take first base and Hansen do with 2 out and 2 on. Talked about the injury to the shortstop position for the Braves. Getting word here, Eric, Paul Janisch acquired from the Reds for pitcher Todd Redmond.
Well, Janisch, a lot of games for the Reds the last few years, but has been replaced. But a good acquisition for the Braves. It's the guy that can go out there and play every day. Has played important games.
Hansen batting here now with Freeman at second. The strike is in there. Henske over at first. Tyler Pasternicki was called backup, but Prado, the starting shortstop, as that is hit towards Tejada, who has trouble getting out of his glove, but throws out Hansen. Ruben Tejada stayed with it to get the out, and the Mets will bat now in the 5th. We're tied at 3. Hope you're enjoying Major League Baseball on Fox. There's Brian McCann chatting with the umpire. As you said, they often don't question balls and strikes when you're batting, and then you have to go behind the plate for your pitcher.
Well, I think the home plate umpire, Dan Iasanya, just didn't like McCann being so demonstrative right there. That's one thing that umpires, I mean, for lack of it, they just absolutely hate. Anytime they feel like they've been shown up. And I think that's what they're discussing right there. And Brian McCann wants everything ironed out so his pitcher doesn't get squeezed.
Maybe he hasn't been sleeping much with the birth of the first child, so he might be a little cranky. We'll give him a break as Valdespin, 1 for 2, steps up to lead off the 5th inning, and bunting his way. Hansen is going to throw and close at first. Got him.
And I think CB missed that ball. CB missed that one at first.
We have the benefit of replay.
Well, I said it before replay, so here we go. Safe. Safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before and after.
I like to know. I like to say it before. I don't want to hear about how, oh, well, you're safe. Look at the ball. Was the ball even in the picture?
Sounds like no.
There it comes.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Okay.
I mean, that wasn't even close. Not even close.
Worth an argument for Terry Collins. Is it really worth trotting all the way out there?
Well, it is. You're not going to get anything changed, but you got to go out there and let him know that he missed the call. You got to let him know. Now, 99% of the time, I mean, don't quote me on that statistic, but the umpires are right. But that wasn't even close.
Terry Collins said that in our production meeting. The umpires are right most of the time. Right in a hole here. He's 0 for 2. After a couple of hits last night. Now it's 0-2. Wright came in with the best road batting average in all of baseball. He's out. Just like that. Miguel Cabrera, Brandon Phillips, David Price, and Justin Verlander among more than 20 Major League Baseball stars to visit the MLB Fan Cave already this year. Watch MLB Fan Cave player videos and stay up to date on the latest cave happenings. Go to MLBFancave.com, and you can follow at MLB Fan Cave on Twitter and like the MLB Fan Cave on Facebook. I don't know if Hansen will be liking Ike Davis on Facebook the way he's treated him today. A double and a homer. We're tied at 3. Two teams fighting to claw their way up in the National League East. 2 down and nobody on for Davis. You know, the patience that Terry Collins and Sandy Alderson, GM of the Mets, showed with Ike Davis earlier this season, paying off. Struggling with the batting average. The power numbers are getting there. And Davis thanked his teammates and the organization for hanging in there with him. Paying off today. The 1-1 from Hansen.
Well, you say they showed patience. It's not like they had a lot of alternatives. It's not like, you know, Joey Votto was somebody they could come in and.
But do you send the guy down to work on some things? The Braves did that with pitcher Jair Jurgens.
Well, they had somebody else to put in the rotation. That's why. And, you know, Davis is a guy that, look, if you're going to figure it out, just figure it out up here. You're going to have to perform at some point back up here. He had, you know, a track record. Didn't have much of a spring training. He missed a lot of last year. Had the Valley fever.
The players also fought for him. David Wright leading the charge as Terry Collins has indicated his style of managing here as he works a walk is to have player input in the way he runs things, and this was one they agreed on. But I get your point. You gotta, if you got nowhere else to go, let a guy work it out. Here's a guy where they were trying to find a place for him to go because his bat was productive and has been.
Well, bat has been productive. Again, they tried to find positions for him. He's played in the outfield. He's been at first. He's now in the middle of the infield. Suffered through a few knee injuries.
Strike called. Murphy hitting .292. The Mets have been the best 2-out hitting team, and it's something they work on. Everybody works on it, but they've been able to produce.
Well, that's the thing. It's worked for them. Everybody preaches it. Everybody focuses on it. Everybody talks about it. It's very important. But the Mets, at least through the first half, have been able to produce, as you mentioned. You know, whether that carries through the entire season, I mean, that's why you have averages.
With 2 out, the Mets the best team when it comes to scoring runs. Runner at first here with 2 down for Murphy, and a 1-2 pitch from Tommy Hansen. Swung out and missed. We show you the graphic, and he goes down swinging. It's 3-3 here in the middle of the 5th. R.A. Dickey and Tommy Hansen locked up with the Mets and Braves. Budweiser, sponsored by Chevrolet. Chevrolet has that feeling back. Feel it too with Chevy Confidence. Here in Atlanta, Eric Karros, Chris Myers, and honored to have. You're going to talk knuckleball. All right, Dickey pitching. Phil Niekro, Knucksy, Hall of Famer, more than 300 wins, and out here to observe a little. Thanks for joining us in the booth.
Thanks, Chris. Good to see you and Eric. I'm sitting down behind home plate, kind of get a feeling for what Dickey's got today.
Yeah, now you told me, as Michael Bourne steps in here to lead off the bottom of the fifth, you've never seen a knuckleball pitcher do what he does. Expound on that.
Not to get off to a start like this. I don't know of any knuckleball pitcher in history has started out with a 12-1 and pitched 2 back-to-back one-hitters. He's not walking many guys. He's in the strike zone, and I think he's exactly where he wants to be right now.
Now, he worked with you a little bit for a documentary, Orange Swings and Misses on the Knuckleball. I know Charlie Huff, part of that, number of other knuckleball pitchers.
Tim Wakefield. Right.
And how does he compare to some of the great knuckleballers of all time, including yourself?
That's a tough question to answer.
We'll have to wait till his career is over to assess that.
Right now, he's got as good as one as anybody ever seen consistently right now through his first half and, of course, going to the second half.
Skied toward left field. Bit of a run there, and nice grab made for the out by Valdespin.
Now, you watch Dickey, and, the thing that we always talk about as media members, the velocity of his knuckleball. Talk a little bit about that and how that impacts the movement of the ball.
Well, I think he throws Eric harder than anybody I've ever seen. It doesn't break a lot, but it's got a lot of quick movement to it, which is tough for the batter to pick up right at the last second there. Most of us guys, I know myself, I had 2 or 3 different speeds. I threw it hard, a little softer, and a real slow one. He's got to the point where he's throwing everything hard. Every once in a while, he's a little soft one. Better fastball than I thought he had. I'd like to see him change the speeds of the knuckleball a little bit more because hitting is timing.
Yep.
And you throw that many knuckleballs the same speed, you make a bad pitch, they're going to jump on it.
What was a hard knuckleball for you, velocity-wise? Was it a high 70s? Was it an 80 mile an hour? Was that
the wind behind me, or
that was
the wind fastball?
And that was from the rubber. Yes.
Yeah. I was probably in the middle 60s, high 60s. Maybe topped at 72, 73 when I really got back and threw as hard as I could. Didn't know where it was going.
When you see your knuckler here, we go back through the archives. Yeah, that's pretty good, huh? All right. And you pitched till you were, what, 48 years old?
48, Chris, yeah.
And obviously the amount of innings. Why aren't there more knuckleballers today? That's something people are asking All Right Dickey as he has Prado in a hole here at 1 and 2.
Scouts aren't out there looking for knuckleball pitching. They're looking for the guys that are throwing 90. Nobody out there to teach it. They won't let you throw in Little League. They want you to throw in high school, American Legion, college ball. So you're growing up and everybody's telling you not to throw it.
But Dickey has said, excuse me, Eric, that he's on a mission to legitimize. So that more people can. It's not a junk pitch.
I didn't think it was. It was a ticket to get to the big leagues, and we knew it. We rode with it, and that's what got us there, and at least that's what's kept me there. So, there's not many guys left around, and if his arm stays healthy, he's going to be around for a long, long time.
Prado with a good bit of hitting there. His first hit of the game and some speed on first for Atlanta with 1 out.
What about the mentality you have to throw the knuckleball? I mean, you talk about not many guys gravitating toward it, but don't you have to have a special type of personality to say, you know what, I'm going to go do it?
Eric, you don't care what the batter thinks. A lot of pitchers can't go out there and throw the same pitch after pitch after pitch. Pitching is fooling the batter, getting him off time. But you've got to have that mental attitude that when you go out there that the batters know what's coming every time. You really don't care because you've got that much confidence in it. You're committed to it. That's what got you here. That's what's going to keep you here. And I don't care. I'm going to tell you knuckleball's coming. Go see if you can hit it.
Jason Hayward toward left. Valdespin coming and scoops it. Wow. Makes the catch.
Whoa.
It's 2 terrific plays by Valdespin, and they're going to double the runner.
Wow.
Prado is out. They're going to debate the call and left.
Yeah, so there it is right there. I don't know. He trapped it.
That looked like it bounced off the ground and into the glove.
What do you think, Eric?
It was
there's no question that it bounced.
The umpire called it out.
Well, I think one umpire called him out. Another one signaled to the runner at first base that he was safe. It bounced. So I think that's a discussion right now.
And that's what they're huddling to discuss.
That's a tough decision to overcall that, I guess. With the
it's clear here what happened.
Yeah, exactly. They called it right. They called it right.
They're going to rectify the situation. Here comes Terry Collins.
But I think, though, see, now if you called them out, or if you called the ball dropping, they threw it to second base. Now, if Daniel Murphy touched second base, then it's a force out. Then it's a force out. We'll have to look and see if he did. We know it wasn't a catch. We just need to see what happened with the runner going to second base. And does he touch the base there?
Yeah, it looked like he did.
See that.
But Ike Davis tags him.
Yeah, if he steps on second here, and it looked like he did before he threw the ball to first.
But now look, he goes back and tags him.
And right now,
Ike Davis tags him.
And Terry Collins has been thrown out of the game.
Saw that one coming. I just saw that one coming, Chris. You think the umpire close to that would make the call, and the other umpire would say, okay, you saw better than me.
Well, it at least clarified the situation that if it's called one way, players are reacting both in the field and on the bases. If you see one umpire call him out and another one call him safe.
Exactly. With a penalty going down the last half, and every out, every game counts. Something could be in the playoff or not. These are big, important plays right now.
Well, they really are. And you're talking about it impacting a game and two teams that are right in the wild card hunt, at least right now.
Yeah.
Let's see, you watch Prado. Now he touches it. He comes back and touches it, so he's correct.
I think Prado.
But now Ike Davis. Now see, this is the whole thing. They missed the call at third. Dale Scott misses the call. He calls it out. Now the runner goes back to first. Now, if he's standing just at second base, I can understand. Okay, now he's safe there, but he goes back. Ike Davis tags him out. He tags him out.
It's a force play then.
It's a force play at second, but Murphy never touches second base. They throw the ball to Ike Davis. Ike Davis did physically tag Prado, who is just in between first and second. You're out. You tag. You can't just be walking around. You have to be on a base.
You have to be on a base. Bottom line is Terry Collins has been ejected. R.A. Dickey is going to have runners at first and second with one out.
Well, that's one thing. You got to know the rules of this game to manage it, don't you?
That's why we have you up here, Phil. We need you to
I have
break
no
down that
idea
play.
just what happened.
Eric, you thought we were just going to talk knuckleball.
We're going to have a quiz on this in a minute.
Okay, so Murphy doesn't touch second
No,
here.
but watch. Ike Davis gets the ball, and what does he do? Let's tag him here. Nope. Let's go tag him. Tag.
Now, Prado
he goes to
out.
tag him. He goes to tag Prado. Yeah.
Chipper Jones.
That's correct. He probably should have been out.
That's
force play.
That's what I'm seeing up here, but I bet you it's Rule 13-4 that we don't know about or something, you know?
13-4.
I don't know. I just made it up.
I thought it was 14-7-5.
Chipper with a chance to give the Braves the lead. Murphy with the second out as the runners advance. Yeah, just to clarify, that's the second out of the inning.
Right.
Even though there was a ruled catch. There's Valdez-Bean, who really, he played it up nicely, ran into the dugout, did the whole thing.
Okay, if you were an umpire, Chris, Eric, what would you have called there?
Well, the one umpire called him out, but I thought he did tag the runner at first, and he should have been out, as you pointed out.
Yeah, that runner should be out at first base. Prado should have been out.
There should have been another out.
I would have called him
That's
out.
always the problem when you go back and reset or rewind something, is where everybody else and how they react. And instant replay would create that issue as well.
Of course, the umpires at that time don't see that, and they're maybe a little confused. That's why they're huddling out there to find out what are we going to do here.
So now, obviously, only one wild pitch
yes.
for R.A. Dickey. You said you did that in an inning on an average basis.
Well, per batter, probably.
But he's got runners at second and third here, so he's got to be careful.
Yeah, I remember one game against the Pirates, I think I walked 12 guys and won the game 1-0. How I did that, I have no idea.
Did you change the way you pitched with the runner on third? Did you change the way you threw the knuckleball, or
Eric, not really.
That's driven toward right center, over the head, and it rolls to the wall. 2 runs are going to score. Braves, on a Freddie Freeman 2-run double, have a 5-3 lead over Dickey. 5-3.
Right, and that's Freddie's third hit. Third hit of the ball game today. You talked about it prior that he hits against R.A. Dickey.
Now, how big does that play before it comes
there's no
after
question.
the game?
He's still got a lot of baseball, but absolutely, it's
I
and R.A. Dickey, right? As a pitcher, what are you thinking? Are you flustered when you don't get a call a certain way, or when they, or you calm enough to just say, you know what, I'm going to get the next hitter? That's cliche.
Yeah, that's it. It's not where you've been; it's where you're going. What am I going to do now? There's nothing I can do about that last play, last 2 runs, the last high knuckleball. What am I going to do on this pitch? What am I going to do on this pitch?
You got the baseball with you. We're going to ask you to hang around if you can. Phil Negro with us in the booth. This is skied as Wright is under it, looking into the sun, and gets out number 3. Finally, says R.A. Dickey. But the Braves have a 5-3 advantage here in Atlanta. LTE, America's fastest 4G network, and by Dow. Together, the elements of science and the human element can solve anything. Eric Karros, Chris Myers here in Atlanta. R.A. Dickey frustrated afterwards. He thought he was out of the inning, and now trailing 5-3. Remember, the Braves, the only team who have a blemish on his record, and with the ejection of the manager, bench coach Bob Guerin takes over running the Mets. And here in the booth, Phil Negro, the Hall of Fame knuckleball pitcher. All those years in Atlanta observing with us. As leading off the 6th, Tommy Hansen now with a 2-run lead. Foul and out of play, Kirk Neuenhuis. The 0-1 pitch. We've watched R.A. Dickey throw his knuckleball. And Phil, why don't you show us real quick here in the booth? We have a baseball at your grip, and it's more about fingernails than it is. Here's the camera up here than the knuckle, right?
The fingernails. I think most knuckleball pitchers hold it this way. Maybe a little different, maybe a little different on the ball, but I think all of us hold it that way. Of course, the idea is not to get the spin off the ball when it's going home plate. The seams will not tell you where the ball is going. The batters have to think about it a little bit more. It's pretty much locked in from here, here. I'm just locked in. No follow through, and the ball comes up.
When you grip it and dig your fingers into the ball, Okay, now I saw R.A. Dickey. He does it right below what we call the horseshoe part of the ball. The seams are right on top. Yeah. I noticed you do it here, where it's above the horseshoe. Yeah. Why? I mean, is that a feel thing?
It worked better for me there,
right?
And for R.A., it works better for him there.
Throws out Neuenhuis. Now Phil, R.A. Dickey told me that he uses not a nail polish, but kind of a nail hardener on those fingernails to help him protect and give him toughness. You ever use any nail polish or nail hardener? Kind of a veneer?
I've got really, really hard fingernails, so I never had any problem with that. My mother said I ate a lot of Jell-O and milk when I was young, so maybe that's what made it.
So they didn't wear out because you had to use them more.
I've still got. I got to get.
How about on your toes? Polish?
I never threw a knuckleball on my toes, so I wasn't even worried about that, Derek.
Well, Phil on the Hill, some terrific numbers, and as Josh Tolley bats, I know in his book, Wherever I Wind Up, R.A. Dickey talks about a number of knuckleball pitchers that influenced him, you certainly being one of those. Charlie Huff.
I think Charlie was the big guy that worked a lot with him, even when he was in the minor leagues. I worked with him a little bit, but Charlie is the main ingredient why I think that Ari's out there.
Yeah, and Charlie said with him, when he was working through, you got to have patience, number one. You got to believe in it. And he threw, in fact, Dickey said one summer, maybe 40, 50,000 knuckleballs just against a wall and anything just to get the patience and the confidence in doing it.
You don't think curveball, you don't think fastball, you don't think slider and changeup. You think eat, sleep, and drink with the knuckleball. Pitch, knuckleball.
Yeah, in fact, he would carry the ball around with him on trips and when he was driving. In the other hand, as Tolley drops a base hit and is aboard with one out.
Yeah, I would do that at the house. In the offseason, I get a knuckleball and just do that in my hand. I do this a lot in the hand. So when it comes up, I want to see that ball come out of my hand with no spin on it. No spin.
Tim Wakefield more recently. You think of Wilbur Wood. Some guys, of course, you mentioned Huff. Hoyt Wilhelm going back historically. And historians tell me that the Washington Senators in the 40s had 4 starting pitchers in their rotation that were knuckleballers. Now, what kind of catching disaster would that turn out?
And that's with the smaller gloves, too.
Yeah, that's right. They didn't have the...
I have no idea how those catchers did that.
Andres Torres batting here.
Who inspired you, or how did you get to throwing the knuckleball? Not that you needed to stay or try to get to the big leagues, but was there somebody that...
Eric, I never played Little League Baseball.
No.
So no one could tell me I couldn't do it. My father taught that to me in the backyard before I went to high school. Back in Ohio, and me and John Havlicek's good friends would choose up teams, and that was I could get the boys and girls
so your
out
dad,
with.
that was that?
My dad taught it to me as a coal miner.
That is funny.
I went to a tryout camp, got signed, $500 as 18, and that was it. I was off and running, I guess.
Josh Edgen in the bullpen. Made his major league debut last night for the Mets, warming up. Towards side, gets through past Ugla. Runners now at first and second. And we're going to have a pinch hitter for R.A. Dickey, who trails in this game 5-3.
Is anybody?
It's going to be Justin Turner coming to the plate with 2 on and 1 out.
Anybody's ball game here right now. They go down that 8th, 9th inning at reliever. The way this game's going.
8th or 9th with the Braves, it's not a lot of fun.
Well, Phil, thanks for coming saying hi. I know you came to this game with your son, enjoying the Braves. It's always a pleasure through the years, and helping the knuckleball live on through your memories. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Chris. Eric, good to see you. Always enjoyed your
Hall
career.
Hall of Famer, yes.
Yep.
And good health to you guys, and live a long time and be happy and healthy.
Through the knuckleball 48. That's absolutely amazing. That's an inspiration for guys who throw it today. In fact, R.A. Dickey said he finally had one high school baseball player who called him and said, work with me. I want to exclusively develop the knuckleball. And if his coaches and his parents allow it, that's where he's headed. As Dickey out of this one after 5 innings pitched, and there's the 5 earned runs, but that debatable play.
Yeah. He might still be in there. I think that's the worst game he's probably pitched all year right there.
Well, other than the one loss to the Braves earlier in the year. That's his one blemish on his record.
Right.
Chad Durbin also warming now on the other side in the Braves bullpen. Mets score first. Braves answer with 3 in the second. Now 2 in the 5th. As Justin Turner tries to produce more offense for the Mets. Justin was out in early June with an ankle sprain, playing some short, and as he flips this into left field, it drops. Cut off over there. 1 run is in, and now runners at the corners, and Turner, a timely hitter, delivers, and it's a 5-4 game now. Josh Tolle in to score, and Torres over to third.
Well, you see, not great balance, but he gets the barrel of the bat on the ball, has extension, and just flips it out to left center. 1-run ball game now.
And Freddie Gonzalez going to make a pitching change, and both starting pitchers are going to be out of this game in Atlanta. Struggle for the National League East. Mets trail 5-4, but try to get more with 1 out here in the 6th. Tommy Hansen trying to hold off the Mets. 43rd appearance, a 3-1 record for Durbin. And Tommy Hansen, 4 earned runs allowed, and Dickey pinch hit for. Turner came up with the base hit to get the Mets within a run. And now at first and third, Ruben Tejada, who has not had a hit today, with a chance against Durbin. It was a crazy 5th inning that chased Dickey, and a controversial call, a fly ball to left that may have resulted into a double play that did not. At least the Mets thought it did at the time. Initially called an out. Collins argued and tossed out. We'll go over that in a moment. Durbin with runners on the corners. That's Christian Martinez in the bullpen, getting loose for the Braves. Mets trying to bounce back after losing the opener of this series. Braves have won 5 in a row. Fouled off. And both chasing the Nationals in the National League East and right there in the wild card.
Well, that's the thing. Right now, they're just playing for position of the wild card. The Nationals right now with their pitching staff, they don't look like they're going to endure any type of long losing streak. That's the one thing that team has that neither one of these two teams possess, and that's great starting pitching, 1 through 5.
Durbin's 0-2 pitch to Tejada. Outside. It's fun talking knuckleball and baseball with Phil Niekro.
It really was. I mean, you know what I found interesting? He learned the knuckleball from his dad out in the backyard.
And made a career out of it.
Hall of Fame career.
Still helps. Now R.A. Dickey is teaching his kids how to throw the knuckleball. That's inside, so Tejada has worked a 2-2 count here. Valdespin on deck, and he in the outfield, part of that crazy situation in the 5th that allowed the Braves to get a couple of runs. Base hit. Tie game. Ruben Tejada brings home Torres with his first hit of the game. And now the Mets have runners at first and second in a 5-5 game.
You see, Tejada does a nice job shooting that ball out to center. And what I like most about it, watch Torres here. That ball's hit out there. He goes back to third. And the reason he does that is because if the ball is caught, then he can tag. If it's not caught, he can walk home. But if he's halfway down the line and that ball's caught, he's not scoring because he can't tag up.
Top of the hour in the shadows here, 6 o'clock in the east in Atlanta. Shadows from home plate where the sun hits on the mound as Durbin pitches to Jordany Valdespin, who swings and misses. Chad Durbin in relief of Tommy Hanson.
You see the shadows creeping in. Makes it difficult for the hitters to pick up the spin, the rotation. Any type of off-speed pitch, very difficult unless it just hangs.
David Wright is on deck looking for his first hit. He's had a rough afternoon. Mets trailed 3-1 at one point, battled back to tie, then trailed 5-3, and they show their resiliency. That fight, that Terry Collins fight that maybe got him ejected to tie it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just really an extension of Terry Collins' personality. Just refuses to give up. Just constantly go, 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 go.
And now Durbin with a 3-1 count. Remember, he had Tejada 0-2. That count was even, and then Tejada delivered the base hit to create the tie. A walk would load him up for Wright with only one out. Swung on, missed. Three-two count.
You can't send them at all. You got David Wright on deck.
And that is a base hit left field. Here comes another run for the Mets. And they take a 6-5 lead. Valdespin on a 3-2 pitch drives in Justin Turner, and that's 5 straight hits for the Mets. All singles.
Well, Valdespin doing a nice job of going with the pitch. Out over the plate on the outer half. He shoots it to left.
You know, much has been made of the horrors of the Mets bullpen this year. And I'm sure we'll get to that. But right now, Chad Durbin and the Braves bullpen didn't help Hanson out, as the Mets have stormed back to lead here in the 6th.
Well, it didn't help Hanson out, but Hanson is going to have to go more than just into the 6th inning. You know, this is something that we talked about at the top of the show. both of these clubs, it's going to be important for Tommy Hanson of the Braves, R.A. Dickey of the Mets, to continue to pitch well.
Here comes David Wright, batting an even .350 at the moment.
I'm sure he's glad to see Hanson gone. Struck out twice. Ground ball to third.
Looking at a 1-1 count here. Valdespin at first, Tejadas at second. That's a ball. Christian Martinez and Luis Avalon getting loose in the Atlanta bullpen. Ike Davis, who has a homer and a double, is on deck. He had Hanson's number. That's a strike. Chad Durbin looking in the 2-2 pitch to David Wright. Struck him out.
Well, David Wright not real excited about that. That's his third time today that he's been called out on strikes.
And as we mentioned, coming in, the lowest this season, the lowest percentage of strikeouts. He was talking about seeing the ball better this year, making better decisions on pitches. Looks like we're going to have another pitching discussion for the Braves on the change. The 22-year-old left-hander from Caracas, Luis Avalon, coming in for Chad Durbin. 6-5, New York. The fifth inning, Hayward hits it to left. Valdespin, that was ruled a catch initially with Prado at first. They throw it in, think they get the double play, and are out of the inning. Collins is thrown out arguing, and then Freddie Freeman, his third hit after they ruled nobody was out. It was a no catch, not even the base runner. And the two-run double at the time gave the Braves the lead, but the Mets have battled back here in the sixth as we take a look at our Jeep game summary here. And the 5 straight singles for New York have them out in front. But going back after initially ruling that a catch, you can say no catch, but there still should have been at least an out.
Well, there should have been at least one out. Okay, you don't get the 2 outs with the catch and the doubling up of Prado. But if you rule that hitter safe on the base hit, then Prado either needs to have continued to stand on second base, but he can't be caught wandering between first and second with Ike Davis tagging him out and then still be awarded second base. That's where I think the umpires made the wrong call. And what it also did, R.A. Dickey comes out of the game in that inning. Why? because he's given, or later because of the pinch hitting situation. Why? Because he was ineffective. He could still be in the game if they would have made the right call.
He will not be the loser in this game. He could still win and improve his record to 13-1. And speaking of Ike Davis, he now steps to the plate with a homer and a double so far. And that's fouled out of play. To the umpire's credit, they at least corrected the initial ruling of a catch made, which already Valdespin was in the dugout, and Dickey thought he was out of the inning.
Right, but again, my argument would have been Prado then just needed to be standing on second saying, look, he didn't catch the ball. That's why I'm here. You can't just wander back.
Bottom line, it's
6-5.
And who would have thought with Hansen and Dickey going, aces of the staff that you pointed out at the beginning are guys these teams need to pitch well if they're going to hang around and contend in the second half. But you win it any way you can when you're battling in the National League East. And right now, 6-5 Mets trying to add to that lead. As Davis fouls this out of play.
I felt bad for Phil Niekro, Hall of Famer. We have him up here in the booth. We're talking knuckleball, and then we get that play.
You threw us all off with that 13Z rule, or whatever it was in the rule book that we had to go digging for. So Bob Guerin, the bench coach, managing after Collins was ejected.
I remember Bob Guerin, former manager of the Oakland A's.
Hope you're enjoying Major League Baseball on Fox. Kind of a crazy start to the second half of the season on Fox following that National League win in the All-Star game Tuesday. And there is strike three. Luis Avalon gets the job done for the Braves. Coming in after Durbin, who came in after Hansen. Going to the bottom of the inning, and the Mets have stormed in front 6-5.
Two 2-0 Reds until Yadier Molina sends this to left field. It's not coming back. His 14th of the year. Eventually, Mike Leake would leave the game. Sean Marshall in the game. 2 on, 1 out. And that, my friends, a safety squeeze. Votto can't come up with it. For a call, helps the Cardinals tie this at 2 in the 7th. Let's go back to Atlanta. Another great game. Here's Chris Myers and Eric Karros.
Thanks very much, Greg, for all the updates and highlights from the MLB studios. And here, as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, the Mets with a 6-5 advantage, and Josh Edgen, who made his major league debut last night, gave up a homer to Chipper Jones, touched for a couple of runs, but struck out 3. 25-year-old lefty was just called up. He is here to face Dan Uggla. Again, R.A. Dickey, the knuckleballer, stands to be the winner if the Mets hold on to the way things are at the moment. Josh Edgen had 20 saves last year in Class A, started this year in Double A. for the Mets, and then up to AAA Buffalo. The Mets will go with Johan Santana tomorrow. Ben Sheets, who hasn't pitched in nearly 2 years, starting for Atlanta on Sunday.
Yeah, Braves not sure what they're going to get, but what they hope is somebody can go out there, give them innings. What that does is maybe free up some other guys that could be trade bait for another starting pitcher.
1-1 pitch to Ugla. 1-2. The Mets, this is an important series in the scheme of things. After this series, the Mets will go on to play 6 of their next 9 games against the Nationals, the leaders in the National League East. So that'll have a lot to say about contending, making deals, where the division stands. It's inside. And the Braves have the Giants after a day off Monday, and then they get the Nationals for 3. Pitching. That's what both managers and you talked about. It's all about pitching, and here we haven't seen enough of that. And there is strike 3. Ugla caught looking. Fox Saturday Baseball returns next week when the leaders of the AL West, the Rangers, will be in Anaheim to take on Mike Trout. A showdown of 2 of the better teams in baseball. And then some will see Melky Cabrera and the Giants battle the Phils, or the Central leading White Sox against the Tigers. Fox Saturday Baseball telecast presented by Budweiser, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. We hope you tune in next Saturday. There's a couple of guys leading their team and MVP candidates in the American League, as Eric Hinsky is up to face Josh Edgen. At Yankee Stadium, Trout 3 for 5 with a couple of stolen bases. Matt Diaz is on deck for the Braves with 1 out, nobody on. Hinsky starting in left field. They moved Martin Prado into play shortstop. The injuries at that position creating some problems for the Braves. General Manager Frank Wren having to make a deal for Giannis from Cincinnati. Swung on, missed.
Well, Giannis 2 years ago played the last half of the season for the Reds and did very well. They thought he'd be a shortstop for years to come. Last year got off to a real rough start. Just did not hit at all. Eventually lost the job. And Frank Wren. And I don't think he's done.
No.
Chipper Jones said it.
Swing and a miss. Edge with a strikeout.
Chipper Jones said it earlier today that they need a starting pitcher. They need another guy. You see this ball up out of the zone. Hinsky going after it. Thinks he can catch up to that high fastball.
Edgen with back-to-back strikeouts here. And 6'11" John Roush getting loose, and you can't miss him on the bullpen. I want to go back to Frank Wren because on the pregame show, Ken Rosenthal reporting that those starting pitchers that are out there, Zach Greinke is one who has indicated that, is he a rental? Well, if they do decide to trade him in Milwaukee, Atlanta's a place that Greinke has indicated through people that he would sign a long-term deal. It's a place he'd like to settle in, his unique circumstances.
Well, whether it's a rental or not, the Braves have an opportunity to win now, and they've got a lot of question marks next year. You know, Chipper Jones is going to be gone. Will Michael Bourne re-sign as a free agent? You know, I think right now they've got to seize this opportunity. And to go out and get a starting pitcher and they have to give somebody up or rent a player, so be it.
That's Christian Martinez getting loose for the Braves. 2 down, and Matt Diaz in his second stint with Atlanta, rejoining the Braves last August from Pittsburgh. How about those Pirates? Pirates and the Orioles playing well. Thought it was a flashback to the 70s. Different division leaders this year at the moment compared to who won them last year.
Flashback to 79. Well, you know, the Pirates, I think they've got some staying power. They went through this last year and then faded right after the All-Star break. I think that experience will benefit them this year. Their pitching's a lot better. The Orioles, I'm not convinced. I just don't think they have the depth.
And when you're, of course, in a division with the Yankees' best record in baseball, with that extra wild card, that a lot of teams are, you wonder how much is that second wild card spot worth to them in terms of trading away future talent for a guy to help get him in.
It's worth one game playoff. That's what it's worth.
What it's worth.
You know, I mean, and that's the thing. We've talked to Terry Collins a couple times over the course of the last few weeks, and sure, it'd be nice to go out and get somebody and get him to put him over the hump, but is it worth jeopardizing your future?
And working a walk after the 2 strikeouts to start the inning. So Diaz is on, and Michael Bourne comes to the plate. Yeah, he runs well, but we talked about the power numbers. Braves would love to have him back in Atlanta. His contract up at the end of the year. They've reached out, but he and his agent indicated they'll wait it out and decide at the end of the year.
As a player, you've gone this far. What's another 2 or 3 months? I mean, you've earned that right. You ride it out.
Strike is in there. 11 runs scored already. We're only in the 6th. And a runner on for Michael Bourne. Another strike. Pretty impressive when the Mets can put 6 runs on the board and David Wright doesn't have a hit in the game. Can their bullpen hold up? Swung on, missed. He struck out the side in between the walk. And we'll return to Atlanta after a word from your local Fox station. Presented by Budweiser. Here in Atlanta, as we start the 7th, the Mets have rallied to take a 6-5 lead. Matt Diaz, who pinch hit for Henske, will stay in and play in left field. And Christian Martinez comes on in relief. Picked up his 4th win of the year last night with a scoreless 5th inning. So he's 4-1 in 29 outings as Daniel Murphy steps to the plate.
And Martinez, a good live arm. Come at you with a fastball slider.
Mets hope to get some insurance here given the history of their bullpen this season. That's a strike. Eric Karros, Chris Myers, glad you're with us. Fox Saturday Baseball. This is a Pete Macheska production directed by Bill Webb. Now the shadows have gone all the way out to where the pitcher's mound is. Did he hold up? No. So 0-2 for Murphy here. What's the rule on that? It used to be the old wrist thing, but now it's.
Now if the bat breaks some sort of plane. Okay. How's that sound?
So, thank you for that.
That's rule 13-6. It's right after that one we saw earlier. You know what it is?
That's the kind of
it's
analysis.
The opinion of the third base umpire. That's what it is.
Thank you. That's what I wanted. Such candid assessment.
Well, those shadows are nice right now if you're a hitter. That's the worst. Can't pick up the spin on the ball.
This one got missed. He gets the strikeout. Time for the Just for Men auto stop. Foolproof stat. Man, Ike Davis. The number is impressive since June 9th, and today 2 for 3 with a homer, a double, and a walk. And just as the Mets count on Ike Davis and have lately, you can count on Just for Men auto stop for foolproof results. Kurt Neuenhuis, the rookie, steps up. But on base twice today. Takes the pitch outside. One and one.
Just loves to throw that change up. A lot of movement on all of his pitches.
The 1-1 pitch. In the air, foul, and looks like that's out of play, and it is. In the bottom of the inning for Atlanta, it'll be Prado, Hayward, and Chipper Jones. Some tough bats for the Mets bullpen to deal with.
Well, you can bring up some matchup things, and that's what I think Bob Guerin is going to do. Bring guys in to face certain hitters. Got to navigate your way to that ninth.
Hesitation, and that's a ball. So it's a 2-2 pitch. The Braves and some of the deals that we hear about. It's outside, now 3-2. Maybe a little bit more willing to give up some of the young pitchers that last year they said they weren't willing to trade.
Well, and that's where Ben Sheets comes into play, because if he can come in, give him a good outing, and be a guy that can be your fourth or fifth, that frees up some of the younger arms.
Shot foul pass first. Mets have 6 runs on 11 hits, 5 runs on 8 hits for the Braves. The 3-2. Struck him out.
This is just a fastball up in the zone. A little bit of movement. Neuenhuis swings right through it. But that's the thing with Martinez. He'll throw 90, and then he'll drop a 77 on you. And he'll throw a 90, and then an 84. And, you know, as Phil Niekro mentioned earlier up here when he was in the booth, all pitching is the ability to disrupt the hitter's timing.
Has the strike in there. Jack Wilson, the shortstop, who was in for Simmons, the rookie, who was out injured, hurt his finger last night, which is why Prado started at short, and they had the Braves went out and made a deal. Let's take a closer look at how that injury took place.
Yeah, he's chasing after a ball, and you see he tries to dig his hand on top of the ball, and it just goes right into the ground and just creates a dislocation there.
The 0-2, Josh Tolley toward left. Diaz makes the catch, and that's the inning. We're going to the bottom of the 7th. And it's 6-5 Mets. Now NFL Sunday Ticket is included at no extra charge when you switch. And by Jeep. This Major League Baseball on Fox season, Fox Sports is proud to support Boys and Girls Club of America, the place where youth can reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. To learn more, we hope you visit greatfutures.org/Fox Sports. Young fans seeing an entertaining game. It's been more about offense than pitching. The Braves trail by a run. Martin Prado to face John Roush, 33-year-old relief pitcher at 6'11", tallest player in the major leagues. Prado was part of that crazy fifth inning with the catch ruled and then corrected with base runners that chased Dickey, when at the time Atlanta had a 5-3 lead. Dickey still stands to be the winner. One pitch to Prado. At 6'11", in case you're wondering, the tallest human being on record, period, Robert Wadlow. 8 feet 11 inches. Robert Wadlow, born in 1918, passed away in 1940.
Is he a righty or lefty?
He didn't play baseball. 8 feet 11. What's it like 6'11" having a guy throwing? There it is. Bouncer first. Davis to Roush, the big target, and gets the out. One away for Jason Hayward. Had a single in the fifth. Josh Tolley goes out to go over. One out, nobody on. Hayward has exhibited power. This could be a real boost if the Mets bullpen could hold on here and protect this lead. not just to beat a division rival, give Dickey his 13th win.
Well, they've got some arms down there. And you mentioned it. They just need to gain some confidence. Burdick down there, the lefty.
2-0 on Hayward. Chipper Jones is on deck. You know, how will the Braves handle the 40-year-old Chipper Jones in the second half of the season? Obviously, when he's in there, his presence at the plate and around the ball player is a big deal, but you can't wear the guy out.
No, you can't wear him out. Freddie Gonzalez said that he's got a plan for him. He looks at the schedule, tries to figure out when he can get him days. You forget about the presence. I mean, the guy is still very darn productive. He's hitting fourth for you.
Now, 4-pitch walk to Hayward. Here comes Chipper, who's hit well against the Mets over the years. And his sons were at the All-Star game. One of them named Shea, so his respect for the fans are up for his days hitting at that ballpark. Now Citi Field, of course. Hayward moves well for a big guy, an angular runner at first. And the tallest guy in baseball on the mound, facing maybe one of the best switch hitters. Well, maybe he is one of the best switch hitters of all time.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer, no question about it.
It's a ball. Well, he has an interest in doing some broadcasting when he steps away at the end of the year.
He says he does?
Yeah. I think it'd be a good one. Maybe he doesn't want the everyday.
Not sure he'd want the travel schedule.
The everyday gig with a young family, young children. It's 2-0.
Might have spoke a bit early about the Mets bullpen.
Look where he ranks. Switch hitter, you think, of course, Mantle and Eddie Murray. Well, that's pretty impressive. And all with one team, all in a Braves uniform.
And playing a tough position, third base. You know, and remember, this is a guy that at the very beginning of his career, knee surgery. There he is at the All-Star game. Kansas City fans showing their appreciation, and then a blast.
Kinsler.
You see Kinsler there going after that?
He's smiling. I bet you Chipper's thinking of Michael Strahan and Brett Favre a little bit on that. Swung on toward left in the shadows and just in play but foul. Remember historically when the sack record was, Giant football fans will remember Brett Favre. Many accused him of, as Michael Strahan came in to get that sack record on the then Packer quarterback. That
I don't
he didn't
see,
scramble away.
Yeah, I don't think Kinsler was taking that route on a ground ball in the World Series last year against the Cardinals.
But maybe Chipper at his last All-Star game, don't lay out for it. The 2-1 to Chipper Jones. A big strike from Roush. Freddie Freeman, 3 hits. Due up next.
Base runners are 3 for 3 against Roush. Stealing bases. Not a bad time to go here.
Hayward stays. Chipper toward right. He was moving well enough, and right throws him out, but the runner gets to second with 2 down. He's been on his game, but that was against R.A. Dickey, the knuckler, who historically he came in hitting well, hitting 400 against.
Well, it didn't start off too well. It's a base hit, but I wouldn't call that ball hit hard. This was a 2-strike hit, and then this one crushed it. But this is a guy that, just like Ike Davis for the Mets, has to do well. Freddie Freeman here in the second half for the Braves.
So a little frustration over a discussion and a pitching change with a 6-5 Met lead and Atlanta threatening in the seventh. At second, Scott Hairston comes in to replace Neuenhuis in right field for the Mets. The pitching changed the double switch. He'll bat ninth, and Tim Burdick takes the mound. 2-0 record from the left side. 14 walks, 25 strikeouts. His 45th appearance this season. No appearance has gone longer than 1 inning. And last night he worked 2/3 of an inning in that 7-5 Atlanta win, and getting ready to face Ryan McCann.
Well, we talked about it last inning. Bob Guerin, the manager right now of the New York Mets, he's going to have to navigate his way to the 9th inning with Bobby Parnell. He's going to have to use matchups, look at certain situations, and it's a great example of it right now.
Yeah, correction, please. That's McCann on deck. Freeman batting here 1 for 8 in his career against Burdick. There is McCann. Braves trail by a run. They've led twice by a couple, but the Mets have rallied. In there for a strike. It's 1-1. Freeman standing at second. Bounce to David Wright. Handles the hop and throws him out. Inning over. The Mets with a 6-5 lead as we go to the 8th. Lineup presented by Budweiser. Christian Martinez done a good job out of the bullpen for the Braves to keep things at 6-5. Andres Torres leading off here in the 8th inning, takes the strike. Couple of hits, made a nice defensive play to help the Mets fight their way back and into the lead. 1-1. Scott Hairston, who came in to play right field for Kirk Neuenhuis, is next, and that is driven toward right field, and it's going to drop and roll to the wall and bounce off the wall. Torres going to have his 3rd hit of the game, standing at second with a double.
Well, remember, this was a guy a few years ago with the Giants had over 70 extra bases. And that's what the Mets thought that they were going to get. Just hasn't been able to do it this year.
Freddie Gonzalez out to make another pitching change. It's a 1-run game here in the 8th. He's 7 years old, from Staten Island and St. John's. Just over 12 innings with 16 strikeouts. 8th appearance since being called up in the middle of June. Hasn't pitched, though, since July 4th. And he faces Scott Hairston, who's been one of the more productive Met hitters, very reliable, as Terry Collins told us over the first half, wherever and however the Mets have needed him. In there for a strike. Nobody out. You got a runner at second, a 1-run lead. You want to move them over.
No, you don't want to do that.
Or you can knock them in.
No, you don't get greedy right now. If you get a base hit, drive it to right center. But your job to get Torres to third base.
Hairston in the 9th hole with that switch. That's high. So Tejada would be next. Tejada, after going 0 for 3, delivered with a base hit his last time up.
Look at those shadows right now, Chris. I mean, it's just very tough for the hitter to pick up any type of spin. Well, you're doing him a favor if you throw him a fastball.
It was a knuckleball with R.A. Dickey starting things. Chance to win this game. You had a 12-game winner and a 10-game winner starting, and we have a 6-5 game here in the 8th. And now a 2-1 pitch to Hairston. Now it's 2-2. Lucas Duda not in the lineup today with a hamstring injury. But the Mets have hammered out 12 hits. Well, 2-2. Fouled and out of play.
Hairston doing a nice job this year. A lot of power off of the bench. $12 home runs. This is only 190 at bats.
Time call. They had a bit of a power outage last night for about a 20-minute delay after they had some rain that had them start late. It was a 4-hour game. Chipper Jones standing around, didn't take batting practice, but out there today. And this game, now a 3-2 pitch. Here in the 8th.
Tim Hudson right there. Happy birthday to Tim.
37 years young.
37 years young.
A 3-2 to Hairston. Swung on, line to short, and they get 1-0. Getting back quickly was Torres.
Well, he hit it hard, but still the job at that time was to get the runner to third base, and he didn't do it. And that's an important run. It's about a one-run ball game with this Mets bullpen as it struggled this year.
Highest ERA.
Yeah, you want to give him some
in the
breathing.
majors.
Yeah, you got to give him some breathing.
So Ruben Tejada now to face Anthony Lavaro. Torres at second with 1 out. That's a ball. Had quite a number of pitchers used in this game for both teams already. And still some work to be done here. Braves have used 5 pitchers. The Mets have used 4. Last night, quite a few were trotted out in that 11 walk Met pitching performance. The 1-1 to Tejada, fouled and out of play. Runner was moving.
Yeah, Torres had a great jump right there. And, you know, granted, you've got 1 strike on you, but Tejada up at the plate, when he sees the runner get that type of jump, you got to take the pitch. You know, I know it puts you in a situation where if that pitch is a called strike, it's 1-2, but at least you've got a runner on third base. They probably bring the infield in. Instead, you're 1-2 with a runner on second.
Pickoff attempt. Safely back in there.
Interesting that they would do that with Prado at shortstop, because you know that they haven't practiced that with Prado at short. You just assume that, you know, he's taking a few fungos, taking some ground balls, and here we're going to put a pickoff play out there.
He said.
Pretty gutsy call.
It's a handful of games at that shortstop position, but he's played everywhere. Fouled off back. Martin Prado, they ran an ad for the Atlanta Braves showing him in the outfield, helping with the IT group, selling tickets, concessions, and playing baseball.
Now you can make an argument he's been their MVP for the first half. I mean, what he's done at the top of the lineup, he and Michael Bourne, that combination as good as any in the big leagues. The ability to play multiple positions.
Met pitching today did a pretty good job against those first two hitters.
So far.
So far. Now it's 2-2. In the bottom of the inning, Brian McCann and Dan Uggla, and then the pitcher, Vivaro, is due. But the Mets trying to get a cushion run here. That's Beato getting ready. Recently called up by the Mets in the bullpen. Held off. Looked like he was protecting himself.
Yeah, that ball just decided to run in. See Tejada going into it, and that thing just going in. And then it's just abort. That's helpless as a hitter. It really is.
Well, in his last at bat, he was in the hole 0-2, fought back to a 2-2 count and drove in a key run. And is again here at 2-2 with Vivaro staring at a runner at second. Nationals play tonight. These are the two teams battling for second place at the moment, but they'll get their chance again with the Nationals here over the next couple of weeks. In the East, standings to the moment. What a disappointment, even with the injuries, the Phillies have been, and the Marlins. And base hit, right center field, and rolls, and here comes the run as Torres scores, and it's now 7-5 Mets.
That's just a great at bat by Tejada, just to continue to fight pitches off, to foul this, foul that. That pitch running in on his hands. Doesn't get greedy, just shoots something out to right center. Terry Collins has to be excited in his office right now. Smiling.
And the 22-year-old shortstop satisfied. One of the many homegrown players on this Mets team that fight and scrap and have kept them in it. I mean, they are one of the surprise teams, whether they contend or make it to the postseason or not. Valdespin swings and misses, but it's a surprise that they're where they are even at this point, consider where people thought they'd be in spring training.
Well, it's a credit again to Terry Collins, the environment that he's created, that David Wright, Johan Santana have created, and they believe that they can win. And the longer they go being competitive, it's not just oh well, we think we can do it. You are doing it. You are right there in the wild card hunt.
Had to survive Dylan G, who had the blood clot and the surgery. Injury's part of the game, but some teams hit harder than others, and in certain spots that's fouled and out of play. So,
well, I think you could say, you know, economically going into this season, the Mets weren't going to be a team that had a ton of depth, and that's why where injuries hit every team, there are certain teams that can withstand those injuries because they have the wherewithal to go out and replace players.
The Mets are counting on Jason Bay, if his rehab goes well in the minor leagues, to be there for the National Series, which comes up after this.
Yeah, but they need Jason Bay when he played with the Red Sox and Pirates.
The old Jason Bay.
Yeah.
The pre-concussion Jason Bay.
And then Frankie Francisco, their closer, he was on a rehab assignment, set back a little bit with the oblique. You know, Terry Collins told us today, look, we're not looking for anybody to come through the door. This is what we have, and I believe in these guys, and we'll go get them.
And that's fouled out of play back toward us. And the players have responded. Terry Collins was saying the biggest difference in that 11-year gap between managing, the two things that changed him was he became more patient and a better communicator.
And that speaks volumes today. I'd argue that you probably have to be a better communicator than you do strategist now. And there's only so many things you can do with the game. But the ability to relate to your players and get your players to run through a wall for you, that's the biggest thing.
Struck him out and a big strikeout. 2 away now.
Up in the zone, out of the zone. But again, as a hitter, those look so enticing. You think I can catch up to it. I can hit that ball a mile, and it goes right by you.
So David Wright, 0 for 4, has seen that batting average dip. We mentioned the Braves came in as the best scoring road team in baseball, averaging just over 5 runs a game away from home. They've got 7 on the board now to lead by 2. And Wright would like to get something before the sun sets here.
Yeah, three at-bats where it's been called out looking at strike 3. Well, and I think you mentioned it earlier, Chris. The Mets have put 7 runs on the board, 13 hits. David Wright hasn't done anything up at the plate today yet.
That's some of that confidence and patience and the rest of the team paying off when your superstar is not having a great day. Mike Davis coming up big. Ruben Tejada as well. There's Mike Minor now getting loose for the Braves. The 1-2. Now 2-2. Craig Kimbrell, the All-Star, got the save last night. There's Mike Davis on deck. Bobby Parnell has moved into that closer role for the Mets. Likely to see him. Swung on, missed. He struck out David Wright. But the Mets had a run, a big run, and they lead 7-5 here in Atlanta, going to the bottom of the 8th. Bayer Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of Major League Baseball. And by the Bourne Legacy, there was never just one. In theaters, August 10th. Eric Karros, Chris Myers, our production crew from Fox and Saturday Baseball in Atlanta, where the Mets have rallied to take a 7-5 lead. We're glad you're with us, as Brian McCann will try and rally the Braves, who have a 5-game winning streak on the line. We had a crazy 5th inning where there was an out called on a catch and then overruled, but the effect it had on the base runners, and then eventually R.A. Dickey in the inning and runs created a little discussion, so we had to go back to the rule book. Eric Karros was all over it. Didn't have the exact rule number, but I think he had everything else correct. And so Flaherty in the bullpen and Minor. McCann, by the way, 1 for 10 in his career against Burdick on relief. Fouls that out of play. That really changed the complexion of this game, and we'll show you that and go through the actual rule, because as Phil Niekro, veteran of a lot of baseball years, was trying to figure it out up here himself. Once there is an overrule call made by an umpire, and they discuss how do you reset things. There's a shot that's fouled down right field line and out of play.
Well, we can say that the umpiring crew, led by Dale Scott, did get the call right. And I think the important part is that highlighted spot. They placed the runners back where they would have been after the play. If they think that runners should have been on first and second, that's what they do.
If the umpires consult after a play and change a call that had been made, then they have the authority, and they can reset pretty much everything the way they want to. And they got together and discussed it. Terry Collins didn't agree. It's when he came out and was thrown out of the game. On the 1-2 pitch. Now 2-2. So that was Rule 902C. So
I think I said 13-5 or something like that.
You
I was off by a couple.
13C, and yet Phil Niekro, he dropped his baseball and grabbed the rule book and gave it to us and said, find it. There's 2-2 to McCann.
No, and what was good about it is they got together. They got the call right.
Yeah, we're going to show it here in a moment, too, because it happened so fast. Yep. And then you call it one way and somebody overrules you. Now a 3-2 count. By the way, when David Wright struck out in the last inning, Eric, you were talking about it. First time this year he struck out 4 times in a game, and that equals a career high for David Wright, who is having an MVP-like year, but he didn't want to hear that today. And that is ball 4. So here's the play in the 5th inning with 1 out and 1 on. That's Valdespin trapping it, but it was with the umpire down there said, hey, it's an out. Prado, the base runner, is out at second. He did make it to second. They huddle and they say no catch. We're going to overrule that. Collins comes out and argues because there were runners at first and second, and they reset and said there was nobody out.
And the argument is because that ball falls in, where would the runners have been? First and second. So the umpires got the right call with 1 out.
We have another pitching change here with 1 out and 1 on. Pedro Beato will be on in relief for the Mets. season before getting hurt. 25-year-old from Brooklyn. 4th appearance since being called up on the 4th of July and has not allowed a run. Braves have also used 5 pitchers in this game. As Dan Uggla trying to increase that batting average, work it upward a little with a runner on here.
Well, there's the closer right now, Bobby Parnell.
He had to move into that role when Francisco was injured. As you said, they had to shut that down a little bit. Looks like the rehab that's going to take a little longer, according to Terry Collins, getting their ace reliever back. Meanwhile, Uggla capable of tying things with one swing. Juan Francisco, who we have yet to see today, is due to hit next. Patient at bats here after the 11 walks last night. 4 walks so far by Met pitching. Will make that 5, including the runner over at first, McCann. And a 2-0 count here. Fouled off.
Well, that's what Uggla wanted. Uggla is a fastball hitter. He can turn around, as Freddie Gonzalez was telling us before the game, anything. I mean, you throw it 100 miles an hour, you can get around on it. Beato just coming right after him on that 2-0 pitch. You know, where Uggla struggles is with that off speed, real soft stuff. Not going to get any of that from Beato.
Now it's 3-1.
Now this is where you got to be careful if you're a Mets pitcher. You can't just throw it 100 miles an hour right down the middle, because I can promise you Uggla is going to be coming out of his shoes right now.
Nobody out. Josh Tolley with the signals behind the plate. Fouled out of play. Got a 2-run lead and a runner at first and a 3-2 count.
Not with Uggla at the plate. I'm staying. I'm not doing anything. I'm holding. Uggla has struck out a number of times this year.
And got a big swinger in Francisco scheduled to hit behind him before you go to Matt Diaz. Driven to left field. Is it fair? And it is. Nice work out in left field by Valdespin. The throw gets through, but the runner had to stop as Uggla gets a long single.
Well, like I said, he'll turn around any fastball.
He drilled that.
Yeah, he does. And give credit to Valdespin. He does a great job. He gets a fortuitous hop off the wall. He's able to hold McCann at second base. See, McCann sees it, and wow.
Keep an eye on David Wright.
See David Wright pointing to Uggla, because Uggla had rounded the bag, not paying attention to that ball coming through.
So Beato will now face, looks like Tyler Pasternicki just called up. He was the opening day shortstop, replaced eventually by Andrelton Simmons, who has since been hurt, and Jack Wilson got hurt, but he is going to step in ahead of where Francisco was going to bat. Francisco still might pinch hit for Matt Diaz.
Well, Pasternicki in this situation, I've got to believe he's bunting. I have to believe he's bunting. You let Michael Bourne and Martin Prado do the work. Now you look at the Mets, obviously anticipating a bunt. Ike Davis in.
And that's a ball.
You know, and everybody thinks, oh, he's bunting, just get the bunt down. But remember, this is a guy on the mound that's throwing 94, 95 miles an hour. This isn't in the batting cages or on a backfield at spring training where they're throwing it in there at 60 and you're just going tap.
Is the best place to try and push this towards third to get the runner over?
Ideally, but again, this guy's throwing 94, 95. It's not as easy as you think.
Just get the bat on the ball and keep it in play. That bounces in front of the plate and is foul. So it's going to be a 1-1 count to Pasternak. Trying to move the runners along. First and second with nobody out here in the bottom of the 8th. Mets got a run in the second, but the Braves answered with 3 in the bottom half. And the Mets tied it in the 4th. Braves got 2 in the 5th, and then that crazy inning we've talked about. But the Mets get 3 in the 6th. And the Mets trying to hang on for R.A. Dickey and his 13th win. But he was gone after 5. Two and 1.
And see, with the way Ike Davis is crashing, Beato's got to have the third base side, because David Wright, he can get back to third base and get McCann at third. You can get a guy like him that doesn't run real well. That's why Tejada is holding him on close.
The bunt, foul. Quickly called by the home plate umpire, so it's a 2-2 count now.
See Dan Iasonia behind the plate. You can see that ball comes up and hits the bat. He's right on top of that call. Immediately a foul ball call.
So now, how does this change things at 2-2?
I got to have him swinging here. I'm not confident in him getting a bunt down right now.
From what we've seen so far.
No. Give him a chance.
Set to bunt and strikes out for the first out of the inning.
I mean, that's just a tough spot to put him in right there. I mean, you throw a breaking ball. He hadn't seen one yet. And the reason I say it, there's a whole host of things going through Pasternak's
He just
mind.
got called up.
He just got called up, but he was a shortstop at the beginning of the season, and they're playing everybody at short but him now. So how do you think he's doing mentally? And then he's got, I'm up here. I got to get this down. I got to get this down. I mean, guy's frazzled right now.
Yeah, they make a trade for a shortstop with the Reds and Giannis. They worked him at second base in the outfield in the minor leagues.
I let him swing right there. Not that it would have turned out any different, but I would have let him swing. I'll tell you what, Bobby Guerin is getting his money's worth as manager today.
So Francisco is going to bat now for Diaz, who came in for Hinsky, pinch hit and then stayed in the outfield. Juan Francisco, a big swinger. And looks like Ronnie Cedeno is going to go in and play shortstop here. And there is bench coach, now acting manager, Bob Guerin.
He's having flashbacks to his Oakland days right now. He's doing it.
You never lose that. 2 on and 1 out. And Juan Francisco will be facing a new pitcher, it appears. Bobby Parnell is headed in to see if he can put out the fire here in Atlanta. Mets pitcher, 2 for 2 in the save department since Frank Francisco went on the disabled list. Mets used 6 pitchers last night when they lost to Atlanta 7-5. Here, facing Juan Francisco with 2 on and 1 out. Michael Bourne is on deck as you have Brian McCann at second. And after a well hit ball, Uggla's at first. Fouled off. Parnell, you know the old express. We had Phil Necro up here. They used to call relievers firemen, you know, saves. Parnell was on his way to be a fireman through high school had he not developed such a skill for pitching. Growing up in North Carolina, his father a firefighter, or I should say his grandfather, and his father the fire chief in Salisbury, North Carolina, and his 24-year-old brother Adam, a firefighter in Granite Quarry, North Carolina. Here's about saving a game for R.A. Dickey. And in fact, Dickey went to Randall's Island and the fire department training academy there with Parnell and Dylan G. and Mike Pelfrey to see what it was like and help do some charity work for the firefighters in that area. Can he put it out here? A 2-1 pitch. 2-2.
Well, it's just a fastball, live arm. Yeah, but what this inning has done, regardless if they score or don't score, is now the Mets have earned the right to face Hayward, possibly Chipper Jones, maybe even Freddie Freeman in that 9th inning. And that's a problem.
Freeman has had a big day for the Braves. The 2-2 called strike 3. That's 35 strikeouts in 35 innings now for Bobby Parnell.
Yeah, that's a great pitch right at the knees on the outer part of the plate, coming at you at a good 95. There's not much you can do about that as a hitter, especially when you've been sitting on the bench all day.
But the speedy Michael Bourne, who has a hit today, still batting above 300. 2 out now. So Parnell, you would assume the way Bob Guerin has worked things, he's looking at a 5-out save if he can do the job.
Yeah. And we can talk about all the pitching changes, but for me, the play Valdespin made out in left field on that double that Uggla hit to prevent McCann to get to third changed the whole complexion of this inning.
It's the kind of little things the Mets have been doing.
Oh, it's a huge place because then you send up Pasternicki. He's forced to bunt. He strikes out, doesn't get the guys over. Next guy strikes out. Instead of having runners on second and third with nobody out, at bats are completely different. You have first and second. I mean, it was a great play by Valdespin. Great play.
And a foil bunt attempt. I know baseball fans, Brave fans are out there saying you can't bunt the ball in that situation, but you explained it's not as easy as it looks, even though it's one of the fundamentals. That's fouled.
It's a fundamental when you go down to the local batting cages and bunt. Now, this is what I'm talking about. This play right here, Chris, that for me changed the whole course of this inning. This ball has double written all over it. Valdespin does a nice job. I mean, it's almost like he catches and gets it in the same motion. McCann had inklings of going to third, but he puts on the brakes. Uggla has to stay at first. I mean, that's going to go unnoticed except in that Mets clubhouse.
Now a 3-1 count. And Martin Prado hitting .315 is the on-deck hitter. You walk here and you put the tying run in scoring position.
Doesn't it look like Bob Guerin's just ready to get back out there again? Who's ready to make another move?
Another pitching change. Right back up the middle. Here comes a run for the Braves. The throw's going to third, and safely in. So McCann scores. It's 7-6. Bourne delivers. And runners at the corners with 2 out.
Bourne just shoots his ball up the middle. Gets him 1 run closer.
Worked the pitch count in his favor and took advantage. Coming off his second All-Star game is Michael Bourne. Parnell has to deal with Prado.
Well, and you've got Bourne at first base. He is a threat to steal. Parnell usually in a situation where there aren't a lot of base runners and guys that are going to steal. This is all foreign to him.
Craig Kimbrell, who is automatic out of the bullpen, loosening for the Braves. And look at Prado's numbers in his career against the now closer Bobby Parnell. Parnell fell behind Bourne, and that's what got him in trouble. Prado having a terrific season, as we have addressed. One of the most improved players when you look at batting average and other numbers compared to last year, but was healthier throughout this season. Can he tie it? 1-1. Josh Tolley signaling to Parnell. Now Ramirez is up throwing for the Mets. Got the strike. And now it's 1-2. In favor of the pitcher here. He needs a strike to get out of it. The 1-2. Base hit. We're tied. Martin Prado with a 2-strike, 2-out hit. And Dan Uggla is in. It's 7-0.
Well, Prado gets a third fastball. You're not going to get 3 by him. He took 2. It's almost like he set him up. Got 3 of them right in a row, basically in the same spot. And this ball is just a rocket.
And now runners at first and third, and I can't help but think, Eric Karros, that in the previous inning when I said Met pitching did a pretty good job keeping those top 2 hitters off the base paths, and you talked about how getting their turn, and now here in the bottom of the 8th, some clutch hitting to force a tie game. And now Jason Hayward. Tony makes a nice play there for ball 1.
Again, Mets fans have seen this way too often. Struggling Mets bullpen.
They've seen this horror film before. We raised the question, as any Met fan would, about the Met bullpen. Now it's 2-0.
And it just becomes so demoralizing as somebody in that clubhouse, just because it's like you've worked so hard to get to a certain point of the game, you put your team in a position, and then just unable to close it out. It's one thing to constantly get beat, but it's another thing to come from ahead and lose.
And where do you turn to? Who can you count on? And there's a base hit. The Braves lead. Jason Hayward. He wasn't going to get the win, but now the Mets may not get the win.
Hayward gets a fastball and shoots it through the left side.
Michael Bourne scores the lead run here, and Hayward, one of those young Braves, learning to deliver in the clutch after what this team went through at the end of last year. Maybe they make a postseason run in a different manner.
Well, and you have a 2-run lead coming into this inning, and the first thing you do to the leadoff hitter, you walk him. They always go back. Oh, walks kill, walks kill. Well, certainly didn't help anything.
Last 2 hits, all with 2 out. And Chipper Jones, nothing so far today, but a 14-game hitting streak on the line for the future Hall of Famer. Parnell just wants to get out of the inning.
Well, you come back to it. Walks, walks, walks. And granted, it was only 1, but it was a lead off the inning.
Foul it out of play. And I talk about Chipper's last All-Star game. This is his last season, of course. They're also, the Braves are pushing his last postseason run. Last everything for one of the great players. And all in a Braves uniform. He's been big against the Mets over the years. And this is going to get gobbled up by Cedeno and throws him out. Nice play, Ronnie Cedeno, a substitution for Tejada at short. But the Braves get 3. 2 big 2-out hits. They lead 8-7 as we go to the 9th. In Atlanta, you're watching Major League Baseball on Fox. Ninth, Pasternicki at short. Martin Prado, who started there, moves out into left field. And Craig Kimbrell, 26 of 27 saves, an ERA minuscule, and 18 saves in a row, is on to close it out for the Braves against the Mets. Ike Davis has had a big day, hoping to get something going here in the ninth.
Well, Ike Davis faced him last night, got a base hit. 2 for 2 lifetime. Left-handers this year off of Kimbrell, 3 for 52.
Fouled it out of play. Kimbrell, an all-star. Daniel Murphy would be next, scheduled at the moment. Mets lose a 2-run lead with that 3-run rally from Atlanta, and Kimbrell trying to close it out. And gets the strike. It's 1-2. Amazing story where he's come from at age 24.
See an 84-mile-an-hour curveball dropping right in. As a hitter, you just have to pick one pitch, sit on it, hope you make contact.
And he gets the strikeout. 1 away. Now it's time for the Burger King smooth play of the game in a series in that 8th inning. Michael Bourne, and then Martin Prado, and then Adam Hayward. The 2-out clutch hits as they get 3 runs and move out in front to take the lead 8-7. That's our Burger King smooth play of the game. Here's Murphy. 1 for 4 today. Kimbrell in high school was helping his dad, an electrician, at the age of 18 out in Alabama doing some construction work, which fouled off. And some sheetrock fell, 600-700 pounds of it all. It crushed his feet, broke his foot. And at the time, doctors said that Kimbrell was due to getting a badly pinch hit. Doctors said an absence of usable limbs for the young Kimbrell, but he learned to throw from his knees and built up the upper body strength. Gets that in there for a strike. And so when he eventually could stand up, he said it was easy to throw hard. Didn't take a lot of energy and helped with the velocity. And he's come a long way. And now he says, who would have thought breaking a foot would be the best thing that ever happened to you? But it, for me, helped my baseball career. The 0-2 pitch. Bounces one up there.
Well, as a hitter, when you face a guy like this, you're just looking for one pitch in one spot, and you'll be lucky if you get that. And if you miss it, you know, all bets are off after that. You might get one pitch to hit in that bat against a guy like this.
The 1-2. Swung out and missed.
Well, this is just a fastball. It's up out of the zone. No way you're going to catch up to it. 96 miles an hour.
So here comes Lucas Duda, who didn't start because of a hamstring. He's pinch hitting for Cedeno in his career. Hey, having a hit, that's good news against Craig Kimbrell. Most saves since the start of 2011 with 72, and he's trying to get another one here.
Yeah, he's looking to just run into one right now. This curveball bounces in the dirt. We're at the stage right now where we're employing hope. It's not a strategy. We're just going to employ hope.
The battling Mets have come down to their last strike. The 0-2 from Kimbrell. Inside. Josh Tolley would be next if somehow the pinch hitter Duda could reach.
Now this pitch off the plate. He wanted it.
Freddie Gonzalez wants this over.
He wouldn't have wanted it if he was up at the plate, though, I'll tell you that.
The 2-2 pitch. Braves win. Craig Kimbrell with another save, and the Braves have now won 6 in a row. Bavaro the winner, Parnell the loser. And they rally with 3 in the 8th. For Eric Karros, I'm Chris Myers, our entire crew. Thanks for being a part of Major League Baseball on Fox as the Braves win here in Atlanta against the Mets. Let's go to the MLB Network studios.